Hello, I'm Genea Barnes, and I am a career transition coach. I help people attract careers that they love. Now, there have been countless studies that people are more depressed and anxious when they're unemployed. And of course, that makes sense. It also makes sense that people might get depressed and anxious when you don't like your job. Maybe your boss is making your life miserable, or your coworkers are also connected, but you feel left out. Maybe you started a business that you loved, but now you're overwhelmed with the menial tasks. There are so many reasons somebody might be unhappy in their job. And let's face it, we really only get four major apples in our life: sleep, right? That takes a quarter to a third of our life. Running errands, taking care of necessities, eating, driving to and from work, another quarter. Leisure time, if we're lucky, we get a quarter of our life for leisure time. And then, of course, there's work. That's four apples. Now, if one of them is rotten, it's probably going to affect the others. And it's important that we pay attention to what is going on with our apples so that it doesn't affect our overall mental health. We can do something about it before then. Now, of course, it is more important than ever to be aware of what is going on with your mental health. We are diving deeper and deeper into the metaverse every year, and this is amazing. There are so many wonderful possibilities, possibilities and conveniences and opportunities, lots of ways to connect that we weren't able to connect before. But it's also sometimes easier to disconnect when we're so connected through the virtual world. Now, and when this happens, we might not notice some of those things that are affecting our mental health. And as our metaverse expands, it's going to require that each one of us take a greater responsibility and awareness for our own mental well-being. And this, of course, will positively affect everybody and everything around us. Now, of course, we're diving deep into the virtual world for work and everything else, right? More and more people are working remotely. It also seems like more and more people are struggling with their mental health. And we're lucky because now it's an acceptable topic of conversation. It wasn't always this way. And what's great about this is that because we're accepting that there is a problem, it is human nature to work to find a solution to solve the problem, which is awesome. And of course, the last couple of years, we have shaken everything up. Lots of people's jobs were affected, right? Some people were forced into unemployment. Some people went remote. Others realized just how much they disliked their jobs. That's what this great resignation is a telltale sign of. And the metaverse, of course, has allowed us to see what is possible. There is so much more possibility. But many people have switched jobs and they don't like their job anymore, or they're quit their job and they're unemployed. Whatever it might be, it is becoming more and more important across the board to maintain your mental well-being. And so we must become aware if one of our apples is off. And it's really easy to know if our job is not great. It's real easy to know that. But we want to notice if it's starting to affect the other apples, because this is important. We know then that it's spreading and we've got to do something about it before it affects our overall mental health. So I'm going to run through some stuff of how you might know that the rotten job that might be the rotten apple that might be your job is seeping into the other apples in your life. Now, sleeping more or sleeping less. Sleeping more might be a symptom of depression. It can also show up as not wanting to face the day, not wanting to have to think about what you've got to do, or a lack of motivation. Sleeping less is often a sign of anxiety. And you don't have to think of it as anxiety. That's a big word for a lot of people. But the symptoms are that your brain is spinning about what you should or should not have done. Maybe you're waking up and you can't get back to sleep. You're worrying about what you did wrong or what other people might think. Maybe You feel like you have to be perfect all of the time. What about your free time? What about that apple? Are you using it to the fullest? Are you actually enjoying it? Or do you need it to completely recover from your work week? Are you spending time with your friends or people you love? Are you avoiding them? It's easy to do if you can just send them a text message. Oh, yeah, I'm connecting. But really, are you connecting? Are your relationships suffering? And then, of course, the everyday tasks, right? That apple, are those things getting done or are they piling up? So all of these are signs that your mental well being might be affected if your current job status feels less than ideal. Now, again, your current job status that's less than ideal could be that you don't like your job. Maybe you hit a glass ceiling. Maybe you lost the love for your business. Maybe you're just unemployed. And remember earlier, though, when I said it is human nature to work to find solutions. And it is, and our brain is happiest when it has a problem to solve. So the question then becomes, what kind of problems do you want to give your brain to chew on? To be happy, you must have a purpose. And your purpose is going to be your own big personal problem to solve. It's going to be the drive, the reason you get up in the morning. Some people, their purpose is to pay the bills, provide for their family, get recognition, save for retirement. But there are pitfalls with these, as you will soon see. They are potentials to lead to mental health hiccups. So, for your purpose to have a positive impact on your mental health, it needs to have four things. Number one, your purpose must be self motivated. Let me say that again. Your purpose must be self motivated and important to you. It can't be important to somebody else, not your boss, not your parents, not your spouse. Think about the person that always wanted to make their parents happy. They became a doctor or a lawyer, but they really don't like that job. It's not what is important to them. Maybe a man was driven to provide for their family, but once their kids are gone and through college and maybe their marriage dissolves, then they don't have a reason to keep on going. Now, your purpose, you will want to tie it to your most important value. A value is a non tangible thing that's important to you, like freedom or connection or joy or love, kindness. Okay, I'll stop. I could go on. Many people, they're not aware of what their values are. Not truly. They haven't taken the time to define them. And they're definitely not aware of which one is the most important one to them. Now, think about that person that got laid off after 20 years. They may not know what's important to them. And now they're so scared they're going to end up in a job that they don't like. They could potentially become paralyzed and frustrated, and this could affect their mental health. Richard Branson, his purpose is to have fun on his journey and learn from his mistakes. You can tell his values are the values that are very important to him are fun and learning. Okay, so the number two thing you must have is your purpose must be impossible to complete. It must be bigger than you, your family, your company, your community, right? If you lose any of those things, you must have a reason to pick up and start again. When your purpose disappears, your motivation for getting out of bed disappears. And that can potentially lead to mental health issues. Right? Somebody had the purpose of saving for retirement and now they can relax, but perhaps they're bored. Now they're depressed. Their mom raised their kids and they end up with empty nest syndrome. Maybe somebody hates their job because their purpose was to finish college and get a good job, and now they don't have anything that they're working towards. A lawyer was working towards making partner, and when they got there, they lost all motivation. Now, of course, you can have goals. Making partner is great, but they are what you do to fulfill your purpose. Walt Disney, his purpose was to make people happy. It's an impossible task. You cannot make every single person in the world happy. It's impossible. But he fulfilled his purpose by completing goals of making and creating and producing films. Okay, the number 3 thing, your purpose must be something that can be done anywhere under any circumstances, right? It must be able to be done in the metaverse or outside of the metaverse. It must be able to be done if you're unemployed, if you've already completed all of your major life goals. It also must be simple enough that it can be done anywhere. It must be broad enough that it will never be outdated. Now, a t-shirt business, if that was the purpose to sell t-shirts, if that was the person's purpose, they can't do that in jail. They can't do that while they're hiking through nature. But if their purpose was to bring laughter, they could sell funny t-shirts. They could tell jokes, be witty. They could think funny things. And they would likely be most happy at work if they could bring laughter on a regular basis. Now, if somebody's purpose was to teach Fortran to prospective engineers, it's outdated technology programming by decades. Now, outdated. But if their purpose was to teach, they could do this anywhere. Oprah Winfrey's purpose is to be a teacher. She does this through books, television. Maybe that is the new television in the metaverse. Okay, well, she could also do this, of course, through conversation. There are always going to be ways to teach. Now, your purpose number 4 must be positively oriented. You want to give your brain a positive image to focus on. This is not about what you want to avoid. Okay, so if you think that your purpose is to end child hunger, when I say end child hunger, your mind pictures a hungry child. Now, if I tell you that my purpose is that every child is fed, your mind just pictured a child that is fed. You must give your mind a positive image to work towards. If your purpose is to be adored, maybe it's really because you want to avoid being rejected, ignored, or disliked. Now, maybe you want to be adored because you want to use that status to end child hunger, right? The being adored is the method that you use, the tool to getting there, but the purpose is that every child is fed, right? Again, positive. Now, a person that maybe they never wanted to have to depend on anybody, independence, and so that they never had to depend on anybody was their purpose. Maybe they worked tirelessly and they never allowed anybody to help, and then they end up all alone and burnt out. And obviously, that could affect your mental health. Now, my purpose, my number 1 value is expansion and growth. Growth. It is my belief that if people are motivated and driven by expansive emotions, expansive purpose, and expansive creativity, we will create a better world. My purpose, in one sentence, is to embody and assist expansion. Number 1, this is self-motivated and very important to me. Number 2, it is an impossible task to complete. I will always be able to expand myself more and assist others in learning and growing and having more joy. And there is no possible end date of completion. Number 3, I can do this no matter where I am. I can do it in the metaverse. I can do it sitting on a park bench. I can think expansive thoughts. I can give a smile to somebody. I can teach them, etc., etc. And of course, number 4, this is positively oriented. And because I have this purpose, I will always have a reason to get out of bed. I will always have a problem to solve that feels good to solve. When your purpose, AKA that big problem that you're trying to solve in your life, fills these 4 criteria, your mind is always focused towards something positive. You will always have motivation and the ability to fulfill that purpose, you will always leave your brain with a good problem to solve. Remember, a brain with a problem means you're happy. Brains want a problem. You must have a problem to solve to be happy, but it's got to be a good problem. A good problem will lend positively to your mental well-being. Now, of course, how do you figure out your purpose if you have not yet had that aha moment? Maybe you'll have it tonight while you sleep. So here are some clues, some things that you can use to help you determine and choose your purpose, right? Determine your values, which is the most important to you, because your purpose is about what is important to you. Think about what those magic moments are in your life where it feels like something bigger than you is just moving through you. Like, is it love or joy, or I don't know what it is for you. For me, some of my magic moments was when I helped somebody stand up to a bully and showed them that there was another possibility, right? Expanded their possibilities. Or when I help people have aha moments. Hopefully you've had one here today. Now, maybe you know what drives you and it doesn't fill those 4 criteria. So you're going to want to chunk up and think bigger. You're going to ask yourself questions like, what is this an example of? Or what is the purpose of doing this? So maybe your number one value is family and you're driven to take care of your family. And this, you could ask yourself the question, what is this an example of? Now it's an example of being kind, of making your family happy. So maybe your purpose is having people know kindness or bringing joy to others. You can ask yourself the question, what is the purpose of doing this? And maybe that's to provide safety and security or to teach your children responsibility. So maybe your purpose is to make children feel safe or to be a role model. Now, choosing a purpose that is important to you, impossible to complete, can be done anywhere, and is positively oriented, will support your mental health. It will also help you choose the job that is right for you. It will help you choose and know the actions and tasks that will create the most joy for you. It will give you guidelines on how to spend your time inside and outside of the metaverse, and in a way that will maintain your mental well-being. I want to thank you all for allowing me to contribute to you today. It's a tongue twister if you try to say it 3 times fast. If you have questions or comments, please reach out to me. You can reach out via my website or social media. Thank you again, and I will see you out there in the metaverse. Bye-bye.